Hey everybody, Jesse Lutter with Kick Realty here with the first real estate market update of 2024. So I want to focus specifically on Leduc and just share a little bit about what's going on over the last 3 months compared to the same time period a year ago. So we all know what's happened over the past year and a half, pushing 2 years now, is that the rates have really gone through the roof. It's crazy. Finally, last time the Bank of Canada held the rates where they were, which is encouraging. Their next announcement is on January 20 something. I think they're going to go down. If not, probably hold, but I don't think they're going up. It seems like we're going to be, I mean, all the big banks are saying that the rates are going to come down. So that's really great news. So, and I put out other videos on this. You can go check them out. But the short version of, with all that increase, all the rising interest rates, like prices kept going up, albeit modestly, they kept going up. Where normally you'd come back down. Interest rates go through the roof. People can't afford their mortgages. They have to list their house. They have to go buy something cheaper. They have to sell and go rent, whatever the case may be. It floods the market with listings. Prices come down. Well, it didn't do that. In fact, we have incredibly low inventory still. There are only 86 single family homes for sale in all of Leduc right now. Like in all, and I think that even includes some of those are like bare land, like lots. So, there's 75, 80 actual homes for sale, single family homes in Leduc. That's well below half of what we are normally at. So the inventory level is incredibly low. So even though the interest rates are really high, that's sort of like balancing things out. And most people are on a fixed rate, so the interest rate hikes didn't really affect them. And like I said, I kind of go into that in other videos. So go check them out if you want on my YouTube channel. But I want to kind of just, again, give you a little brief synopsis of where we're at today. So, like I said, there's only 86 single family homes for sale in the entire city right now. The average price of that, the list prices of the active listings is about 496 grand, which is actually pretty high. There's quite a few listings right now that are on the higher end. And when I say the higher end, I mean like 600 and above. There's a fair amount of them on the market right now. In fact, I went through all 86 listings really quickly just to kind of see where they were and that kind of thing. And more than half of them are spec homes. They've never been lived in, and that's because builders are finally kind of catching up now to, they've been lagging behind for the last few years. COVID hit, they stopped building, and then they kind of started up again, and then the crazy material cost spikes, like with lumber and everything, went through the roof. It was very unpredictable. They kind of pulled back and stopped building again. Well, now they've sort of caught back up. There's quite a few spec homes for sale right now, which I found pretty interesting. There's very few people, there's very few families out there that are selling their house. So very few, probably less than 50 for single family homes in the whole city, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. All right, so 86 homes for sale, average price of those just under $500,000. In the past 3 months, we've had 121 sales for an average sale price of 408,000, which is more in line with where we've been kind of over the last year or so. We've gone from like just under 400 to sort of just over 400 for the average price of a house in Leduc right now. If you go back and look at this same time period a year ago, we actually had the exact same number of sales, 121, which was also low then. But the average sale price, I should have wrote this down before I did a video, but oh no, I did. 121 sold, like I said, and they were right at 400,000. So, and this time around we're at 408,000. So, I mean, it's up by 2%. Not a lot, right? It's relatively flat, and that's kind of how it's gone for the last year and a half or so. We've just been sort of creeping upwards, which hey, it's a hell of a lot better than things going the other way. So, what is going to happen, right? I actually think it's pretty easy to predict what's going to happen here over the next year. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't pretend to be right all the time. But when you look at what's going on, and I've said this in other videos as well, is if we were to look at what the market's going to do a year ago and try and predict it going 3 years out, it'd be impossible because we don't know what the rates are doing. So up until recently, it was a race. So there's like 41% of the country that has to renew their mortgage in the next like 18 months to 2 years. That's a huge chunk of people that are all on pretty low rates in the twos and threes. And if we sit here last year and go, well, if they were to renew today, it'd be sixes and sevens and eights. Like, it'd be crazy, right? Like, they couldn't afford it. They'd have to sell their house, flood the market with listings, prices would come down, right? So, but fixed rates have been coming down for almost a year now. So that's good. So, like I said, it was a race. If the interest rates came down before all those people had to renew, it'll be okay. If the rates stayed really, really high and they did not come down when all those people start renewing over the next 18 months, we were going to be in for kind of a tough ride, and prices were going to go down. They just had nowhere to go but down. So it looks like the interest rates coming down is winning the race, which is great. So the interest rates, I think, are going to come down over the course of 2024 before this massive chunk of people all have to renew their mortgages. Okay. So that's great. So if you got a 2.99% 5-year fixed rate that's coming due this fall, you'll probably be okay. You're not going to get 2.99, but you might get 3.75 to 4.25, right? Like, it probably won't be like horrible. And again, I don't know exactly where they're going to be at, but they're not going to be as low as what you got, but they're certainly not going to be as high as they were over the last year or so. Okay, so I think so because of that, interest rates coming down looks like they're going to win the race. So what's going to happen? Well, prices have nowhere to go but up. And this is just pretty basic supply and demand, quite frankly. When we look at some of the other economic factors, immigration, in-migration from other provinces, lack of affordability in some of the other major cities in Canada, including Calgary now. Calgary went absolutely nuts. And even they're starting to creep up there they're not at the Vancouver and Toronto level, right? But they're getting up there. So a lot of the forecasts have 30,000 people moving to the Edmonton area in 2024. So do the math. 82 people every single day is moving to the Edmonton area. There's not enough housing. There just isn't. So what's that going to do to the real estate market? It's going to put a ton of pressure on the market, both the rental market and the resale housing market, because they're all moving here because it's such a good deal. Great. Yep. Our weather sucks. It's minus 28 today. But we have a lot of really great things going for us. So when they all start coming here, even though we have low inventory right now, we're going to get even lower inventory, which is going to put a ton of pressure. Prices are going to go through the roof. When you combine that with interest rates starting to creep down, even if they just remain flat for the next 6 months, I still think that's going to happen. I still think prices are going to go quite a bit higher. And if the rates start falling over the next 6 months, prices are going to go through the roof. They are. So keep that in mind when you're trying to figure out, if you're thinking about making a move over the next year, year and a half, keep that in mind. Had a really great conversation with some folks yesterday where they currently live in a house in Edmonton and they're moving to the Leduc area, and they don't need to sell their existing house in order to purchase something. So that's a really great position to be in. Most people aren't, and that's okay. But the reason why I'm explaining this is the advice that I gave them matches up with exactly what I think is going to happen. I said, well, listen, if you don't need to sell your house right now, buy something now. Buy something now, move in, built in equity, enjoy the ride over the next however long. Then let's keep our eye on the market here over the next year. And when we think it's going absolutely nuts, then sell your house. So take advantages of it on both sides. Now, like I said, most people can't do that. So that's all right. If you're just trading in the market, it doesn't really matter. But if you were selling a house to go buy a more expensive house, it doesn't make sense to wait. If the market's going to go up by 10% and you're selling your $400,000 house to go buy the $500,000 house, you just lost money by waiting for your current house to go up by 10%, right? So when you're trading in the market, it doesn't really matter, but it usually doesn't make sense to wait. So keep that in mind. If you're just selling an investment property or something like that, or even if you're really downsizing from like a large single family house to a condo, something like that, then it might make sense to wait a little bit further in the year and just kind of see how things are going and wait for things to really pop off. So this is a much longer video than I usually do. I hope you stuck with me. I think it's a really, really interesting time in our local real estate market. And I need to sell a house in about 4, 5, 6 months. So I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I purposely held off on selling the house that I'm sitting in right now until closer to when my new house is being built, because I firmly believe this, that prices are going to be much better several months from now. So there you go. That's what's happening in our local real estate market. If you got any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you later.